Hello. In this particular video, I would like to discuss a little bit about an automobile policy, basically just kind of an overview of what the policy contains. Later we'll be looking at it in more detail, but today we just want to talk about some of the basic components of an automobile policy. First, you'll have the declarations page, which we typically call in the insurance industry, we call it the deck page. And the deck page is going to have things like the agent's name, the name of the insured, their address, the policy number, the policy dates, when the policy is effective, and the coverage amounts. So that is the deck page. But then to the deck page, to the declarations page, the company attaches a policy form. Now these may be policy forms that are used industry-wide, or they may be forms that are specifically tailored to what an individual insurance company wants. But that is your basic policy. It'll give you your coverages and exclusions and all of the rest. First thing you'll have is your insuring agreements, and this will tell you basically what the company agrees to do in exchange for what your obligations are in the policy. Now these can vary somewhat, but by and large these are the typical things that you're going to find in an automobile insurance policy. After that, you'll find things like definitions. Definitions are very important because when a company says a covered automobile or a family-owned automobile, then you need to know what that particular word means. It is normally done that the particular word is highlighted, and that will refer you back to the definitions. And these definitions have picked up through court cases and through just general usage certain meanings. But the definitions are always very important. It'll tell you what insured means, what family members mean, what a non-owned vehicle means, a vehicle that you are driving that you don't own, what the covered automobile is, and things of that nature. That will be your basic definitions page. So when you read your policy, always pay close attention to definitions because they're very important. Then you'll have a section that's called duties after the loss. What are your duties after a loss occurs in the event a loss does occur? How are you to report this to your insurance company or your agent? How quickly are you to report it? What you are to do as far as cooperation with the insurance company once you have a loss. You're obligated to cooperate, and it'll more or less tell you what you are required to do. Then you'll have your liability section, which is typically, we refer to it as A and B coverage. A is bodily injury liability. When someone is injured through a negligent act by you or a covered insured, then that is coverage A, that is liability. Then you'll have B, which is property damage. If your vehicle damages someone else's property, that's covered under property damage, but it's all part of liability. Then you'll have your medical coverage, excuse me, and that will tell you how much medical coverage there is for people that are riding in your vehicle or anyone that's hurt, you yourself, how much medical coverage. Now this is above and beyond or apart from liability coverage. You may be injured, or your passenger may be injured in an automobile accident where there's no liability on you, but you still have a certain limit of medical coverage that you can apply toward the injuries of both yourself and your passengers, irrespective of liability. And then you'll have things like uninsured motorists or underinsured motorists. What the company agrees to do if your vehicle is damaged by an uninsured motorist. And this uninsured motorist does not mean someone who maybe they don't have liability insurance, but they have posted a bond with the state showing that they are financially responsible. If that is the case, then they're not uninsured. But for most of us, originally this just applied to bodily injury. Now we have expanded the coverage, or the insurance industry has expanded the coverage to include not only bodily injury, but also property damage. If your vehicle is damaged, and then you have coverage under that part of your policy. And the most common things as far as damage to the vehicle, or your comprehensive and collision. We were always taught that comprehension is basically any damage to your vehicle that is not collision. Comprehensive will cover things like falling limbs, if you hit a deer, if your vehicle is stolen, if your vehicle catches fire, those types of things that are not collision. There are some nuances there, but ordinarily comprehensive and collision are separate, and they're pretty well defined as to what they are. Anything that's not collision is comprehensive normally, and anything that's comprehensive is not collision. You can select which of those that you want, or you may want both of them. If your vehicle is quite old, you may only want comprehensive and not collision, or you may not want either. That's a decision you have to make. Those are not free coverages. The policy costs, and if you want comp, it's going to cost you more than if you decide not to have comprehension or collision. And then there's a section in the policy about rental. What if your vehicle is damaged to the point that you can't drive it? Do you have rental coverage? Will the company pay you so much a day while you actually rent a vehicle? Not the fact that you maybe do one, but if you actually rent that vehicle, will they pay you a certain amount for a certain period of time while your car is undergoing repairs, or if it's a total loss, until the point that the company settles with you as far as the value of your vehicle. And then you'll have things like policy conditions. These are overall conditions that apply to that particular policy, and they're spelled out in things like cancellation. Can your policy be canceled, and for what reasons? Not arbitrarily. Your policy can't be canceled arbitrarily, but there has to be something that is in the policy that states there's a reason for the cancellation. Does the company agree to renew your policy? Renewability and cancellation are not the same. If your policy is renewed, it'll explain that. Can you assign, if you have a loss and you're injured or your vehicle is damaged, can you assign the proceeds from the responsible party? Can you assign that to a third person? It'll spell those things out. It'll spell out things like subrogation. Now, subrogation basically means that when your insurance company pays you, they stand in your stead to collect from any responsible party. And that's what subrogation is. And it talks about what subrogation responsibilities are and what your obligations are to the insurance company to assist them in collecting from the responsible party. Those are just some basic overriding things that you'll find in an automobile policy. If you have an automobile policy, I would suggest that you read your policy carefully. And if you have questions, be sure and ask your agent. And if your agent needs assistance from the insurance company, they will contact the company and get those questions cleared up. It's always good to be sure that you have all this information while you have your policy in hand so that you will know what type of coverage you have. So I hope this will be a benefit to you, and later we'll be looking at individual aspects of the policy and focus more on what the various coverages mean and how best to understand them. So I hope you have a nice day, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.